Good morning, everyone. Like Father John said, my name is Debra Waldorf, and I'm one of the 10 a.m. lectors. And I want to thank all of the people that have already spoken in church or written beautiful words about what they have experienced here at St. Andrew's. I'm humbled today to be able to add my story. Scott Peck's opening line in his book, The Road Less Traveled, is, and I quote, "Life is hard." Some of us find that out sooner rather than later, but we all certainly find that quote to be true at some point in life. Many people don't talk about their hardships because we know there are so many others that suffer far more. My story is not the worst you've ever heard, but it's one of millions that might illustrate God's healing love. Since I was in my late 30s, I had developed what was called an essential tremor. There's no reason for it. It's not Parkinsonian, it's just I shake. And as an art teacher, I had to explain that a lot up on the board in high school. Why are you shaking? So I taught them. I finally decided in my retirement that I would have a procedure called deep brain stimulus for this tremor. It's an excellent procedure and widely used for Parkinson's as well, and it has alleviated a lot of struggle for millions of people. Unfortunately for me, it was not. So without too much of a complicated explanation, I will cut to the chase. A few hours into surgery, I was awakened. They told me they had to abort the surgery. The horrified looks on everybody's faces was telling. An instrument went too deep into my brainstem, 2 inches too deep, and into my brainstem. I suffered severed or damaged brain nerves, cranial nerves. 5 out of our 12 cranial nerves have been compromised. Based on what many of the doctors and therapists that I have been working with during recovery have no idea what to do because they've never heard of this happening before. So we are flying by the seat of our pants. The areas most affected, I'm about 90% back on my left side for facial paralysis. My eyesight, I had double vision due to gaze palsy. No tear duct function in my left eye. My auditory functions have been compromised: speech, swallowing, balance, and dizziness. And I'm unable to move my eyes from side to side at a glance. So I'm truly that person that's got their head on a swivel. I have to go this way. You know, I don't even want to explain driving to you, but I can drive now. I wasn't able to earlier. I'm just grateful that the damage wasn't any worse, and with hard work, therapy, and support of my friends and children, I've made tremendous progress. I found a surgeon who was able to mitigate my double vision with bilateral eye surgery. So he fixed this one, or ruined this one, to make it match this one. See, my depth perception is terrible too. Excuse me. That was definitely a God thing, that surgeon's name came to me through friends. In light of the fact that this has profoundly changed my life, everyone has asked how I have remained so upbeat through all of this. And I have an answer for that. If it had to happen for anyone, it should have happened to me. God had already given me the tools with which to cope. My childhood was like many others until it wasn't. We were kind of a lower income, blue collar, uneducated parent family, just kind of making it paycheck to paycheck. I was a pretty happy kid, so, I thought life was great. One day at age 11, my family, my world imploded. My father didn't come home from work. He had been killed on the job. And this was the second time, so there was no financial compensation. At this time, there were no grief counselors in school. There were no grief counselors or support groups at church we attended. And within 3 weeks of my father's death, both of my grandfathers died. Therefore, even family members couldn't help each other. There was so much grief on so many levels. I grew up very fast and had to be independent and make decisions on my own without guidance. And that is dicey, to say the least, for an 11 and 12-year-old girl. I don't recommend it. However, I learned to work really hard, be responsible for my actions. I became fearless, actually fearless. And I also became very aware of other people's sufferings. I could kind of tell when things weren't right and people were hurting, and I felt so bad for them. I immediately dove into school to find my support community and my security by way of my teachers and my friends. They actually became my family, and I refer to my dearest friends from high school as my family, my sisters and my brothers. Much later during my teaching years, I guess there was no question I'd become a teacher since I loved it. I learned about a scale to rate how children might fare in adulthood. It is the ACE scale. Some of you may have heard of that. It stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. I soon figured out that I had experienced 9 out of the 10 issues that can forecast which children would become troubled adults. Looking back on my life, I know I have been very lucky. I did not know then how much God was giving me support, love, and hope to carry on. I did not know how much these blessings would carry me through major losses later in my life when I needed strength, courage, and the tools of stewardship to raise 3 children alone. And that this healing would sustain me through my surgical accident. This brings me back to today in St. Andrews. I still have my tremor. Nothing was mitigated, but by definition, stewardship means taking care of something with which you have been entrusted. Almost 7 years ago, I came to worship at St. Andrews, and I was so warmly welcomed. I knew I'd found my church family, just as I had once found my family in school. I will be forever grateful for all of you here. You are an army of people who embody God's healing love, and that's true. During my really tough times, when I was either in bed or upright using a walker or a cane, parishioners came to visit me. They wrote notes, brought food. They made a quilt for me, called and texted just to check in, brought flowers out of their own garden, gifted me with a lovely daily prayer book. And to top it all off, I had perfect strangers praying my name to God for healing. I can safely say that through all of my trials in life, that has never happened. As for me, stewardship at St. Andrews means that I will give what I can financially to the church, but I also will give of myself and my time to support everyone here through my involvement and my actions. I owe all of you so much. Thank you.